I'm filming this episode of the Emergency Shed Storage Clean Out series. This episode is happening directly following the last one because when you're seeing this, I'll probably be at the farm next week for another farm episode. But let's go and have a look in the storage shed and get something else out of there to make sure we've got a video for next week, or this week as you guys are seeing it. Now, if you missed last week, you may not have seen my new shelf assembly. I just set this up before so that I can organise some of my scrap, and I explained that in last week's episode. And we created some more empty spots in this heavy shelf unit here. I haven't found anything to go in there yet. I'm sure I won't have a problem finding something, but whatever it will be labelled and it will be organised. So this episode we might make a little bit faster than the last one. The last one dragged on a little bit. Hopefully you enjoyed it. We have a battery charger, by the looks of it, a vintage battery charger. And we have, I don't know if that's the actual trimmer in that box, I'm not sure. And another tin. Do we have more vintage hardware items like last week? We have some tech screws on top. I'm not sure what's underneath. There's something fairly heavy actually, so we'll get to that in a minute. We'll get that box out and we'll have a look at this battery charger. It might be a good one to set up in a electrolysis tank here because I'm not sure where my old one I used to use has gone. It could be 20 feet that way. I don't know. A lot of stuff got moved in a random method by people other than myself, and I don't know where things are. So we'll test that one out. We'll make sure it's safe. If I don't use it, I will certainly sell it. If it doesn't work, we might try and fix it. If it's beyond it, we will scrap it. So there's a number of options there. And if you did watch last week's episode and I found the anvil for my chainsaw chain breaker, there it is. I thought I had it somewhere. That'd be great. I'll get that set up again. Not that I do a lot with chainsaws these days, but it'd be nice to have it useful. All right, let's get these things into the bench. Okay, let's get into these. We'll do them in the... Oh, okay, there's not much in here at all. It's actually old casters. But we'll check them out and work out what we're going to do with them. In the top here, we have some... Looks like they're new. They're your standard tech screws, which take an 8mm socket. They're the good ones because they screw straight into wood. They're handy for attaching cladding to timber frames. I don't always like these ones that drill their own hole. I find them a little awkward to use, whereas these ones pull into timber really well. So I will keep these. I've got a whole assortment of tech screws here in the shed, and I do plan to build a bit of a lean-to in the back of my workshop for storing firewood and that sort of stuff. And I'm going to need tech screws, obviously, to do that job. So why sell these cheap and then have to go and buy new ones later on? Okay, let's tip these casters out. They're quite vintage ones. They don't look in the best condition. These are big, heavy. They're really heavy, actually. They're a metal construction. They're like a die-cast zinc alloy. They've got an interesting bracket here, so you could actually have them screw to the bottom of a timber frame quite nicely. They might be good on a workshop trolley. I have two. I don't have two aren't much good. I really need 4. So we might sell those. I don't need to keep them on the off chance that I'll find 2 more. That's a smaller style one with a wood thread on it, and there's only the one of those. These ones are the sort you find on your vintage tea trolleys from the 1950s. And there are... No, we've got... Oh, they're different. Oh, they're much the same, but they look to have a different wheel. Oh, only that it's clear plastic. It seems to be the same diameter. So we have a set of 4 of those. Do I need them? I don't think so. I can't imagine they're going to be particularly handy for anything I need. They're not going to carry very much weight. And they're designed to push into a socket thing so they can swivel. I don't have that part that they push into. So I might just group them in a box at the shop of random wheels. In fact, we can add some of these other ones to it. That's very rusty, but that's a good solid rubber wheel. Same with that one, that's the same. We have 3 of those. All right. It's annoying not having 4, but again, they need to push into some sort of tube socket thing. They don't just bolt on. And even that one is just a random... Oh, is there 2 of those as well? And that's a bit broken. I'm going to put the whole lot in a box at the shop for probably only $5 a lot, given that they're a bit rough condition. They're quite dirty. I'm not going to wash them up. You know, $5 can buy all those casters. It's a shame to throw them in the scrap when someone might use them, and I wouldn't get $5 for them for scrap. So there we go. That's sorted out that tin. And we have a large rubber... Oh, it's badly perished. I don't know what that was, a washer or something. That'll have to go in the bin. Let's put these back in the tin and we can just sell them. We can just sell them straight in there. A tin lot of random casters for $5. Okay, is it a trimmer? I have a vague recollection that it is. Oh yes, so it is. It's a Makita. So this is interesting. This is the corded version of a one I did a review on a while back of a cordless little laminate trimmer, and they're a fantastic little router. Basically, they're just a mini router. I don't need to keep this because I've now got a cordless one. It appears to be in good condition. I might just check to see if they're still sought after, these things. It looks like it's actually going to be quite usable. It looks like it hasn't done a lot of work. It's got a guide here for it. What else is in here? That looks like part of a guide, I think. And I'm not sure what that is. And we've got a little Makita router bit container, and I think the bit's actually in it. And what's that? Just a little rubber stopper of something. I think I'll probably sell this exactly as it is. All we need to do is test it to make sure it's safe and to make sure it works, for that matter. I'm not sure what price it's going to bring. Makita is certainly a good brand. So we'll check that out. I might just check the brushes to make sure they've got plenty of life in it. That'll give us an indication of how much work it's done. But it looks like it's hardly done any work at all. The cord looks in good condition. It'll probably date to the 1980s maybe, I'm just guessing there. Makita Electric Works. Model 3700B. So I'll do some checking on that one. I'm thinking I might probably still get $50 for this, which is much better than it sitting on my shelf never being used. So we'll test that one shortly, and we might get $50 back. I'll leave it with the original box. And the last one, which we need to test as well, is this battery charger. It's a 8 amp electronic battery charger, Peerless. It's going to be a traditional type charger. It's not one of these smart ones that senses if your battery's flat or fully charged. It'll give us a bit of a guide. It's got an ammeter, so you can see exactly what's happening. It's got a fuse. The fuse hasn't blown, so that's a good sign. And we've got, yeah, the cords seem intact. So hopefully that one works. We may well use that on our electrolysis tank because I need to set one up again soon. I've got a few jobs to do with it, and this could well be a perfect battery charger for that job. So we'll test that one as well. I'll get my tester out and we'll get ready and test these electrical items. Okay, let's check out this Makita trimmer. I did a search on the model 3700B, and they actually still use that model number, but it's a different type of trimmer. It's a corded trimmer, but the cord comes in the top. It has different stats. This one's 26,000 revs per minute. The one I saw was, I think, 30 something, and this is 280 watt, and the other one I saw was 500 watt. So they've obviously reused the same model number and have got a new model, but then I found one of these in the States new that looked to be the same, so I'm not sure. Perhaps they've continued to make this model, and they have different models for different countries. Anyway, it appears it's probably not that old. The only thing I can go on is the cord doesn't have the black sleeves on the pins, which has certainly been around for about 10 years, I suppose. So it might be 10 to 15 years old, but regardless of its age, it looks like it's near new. other than being a bit dusty. There's no damage, there's no signs of excessive wear. We will just check the brushes now, and that'll give us a good idea as to how much work it has done. And the brushes are easy to check. It's just unscrewing a cap on the side, and they're just on the end of a spring, so they're easy to replace as well. And that looks like a near new brush. There's no, oh geez, I reckon that's hardly been used at all. So that's a good sign. So we can sell this as pretty much near new, and that just shows you how easy it is to replace the brushes on a power tool when they're worn out, although they do all access from slightly different places. Let's get that back in there and put the cap back on. So I would expect this will have no problems at all as far as operation. We'll just make sure that that bit in there is tight. Yep, the collet appears to be tight. I have already checked the cord. There's no nicks or cuts on the cord. So we'll plug it into my appliance tester. And it is double insulated. There's no earth wire. And the symbol there, the double square symbol right there, tells me that it's double insulated, so there's no earth wire. So we don't need to worry about our earth clip for our appliance tester. We'll turn the power on, and we've got an on-off switch at the top. That sounds pretty good. It runs nicely. It's got a bit of torque, so there's a fair bit of power there. All I'm going to do, it tests fine on the meter by the way, all I'm going to do is just get the air compressor just to blow a little bit of the sawdust off it so it'll look even better. And I found a few prices online. One sold secondhand on eBay, the same as this, for $100 with 2 bids. I'm going to put, say, $80 on it in the shop. It comes with the other accessories you saw. And we can now tag it to say it's been tested. $80 should be an easy sale on this. So very good. Now time to test this old girl. The wiring looks okay. I don't know what it's like inside. It looks like it might be pretty grubby. But we'll power it up first and see what happens. So we don't have any alligator clips on the leads. They're just bare wires. But we'll keep them separate for now. I've got my meter here, which we can check some voltages. Let's plug it into the appliance tester. And it's set on 612 volts, that doesn't matter. Basically, yeah, we'll turn it on and see if any smoke gets out. Okay, we do need to run an earth to this one. It will be an earthed appliance. And it passes on the meter. I probably should have put the earth wire on first, but it tells me it's a pass for the earth, and it's a class 1 item, being an earthed appliance, and of course it has to be because it's got a metal case. So it appears to test safe. Do we have any life in it? Well, we don't have an on off on switch as such, so one would assume we may have some voltage here now. Let's see what we've got. Let's turn our meter on. And we're on DC volts. We'll go to the 20 range. And we have, so that's 7.4 volts. And that's on the 6 volt setting. So let's flick it to 12. And we have 12.8 volts. Well, it looks like it's working fine. Very good. Well, I will pull the cover off and we'll have a quick look just to make sure it's, I'll turn that off now, just to make sure everything is okay inside. As far as, you know, sometimes you get mice in these things and they make a mess and they still work, but they won't work for long. I think we'll pull the cover off and have a quick look, and I'll be keeping this one then, and I'll set up my electrolysis tank and we'll give it a workout, and that will be handy. Okay, we actually have 4 screws on each side. They're self-tappers, and they're flathead screws or straight slot screws. I would imagine this unit would date to the 1960s, maybe 70s. Let's have a look at the cord. So it has got the more modern wiring code here. It's blue, brown and green. Ideally it shouldn't be visible from this end of the plug, but because I'm just going to use it here, that will be fine. If I was going to resell it, I'd put another plug on it. The wiring colours in Australia used to be red for active, black for neutral and green for earth. Then in the late 70s or early 80s they went to blue, brown for active, blue for neutral and green for earth. So maybe this dates to the early 80s, maybe the late 70s. Maybe someone's put another cord on it, but the cord kind of looks like it would be original. Anyway, it's old enough to be a good quality one. I'm not sure where Peerless were made. Were they an Australian brand? Manufactured by G.W. Healy manufacturers, and I can't read where. So it's possibly Australian made. Let's get some screws out of the other side. Okay, let's have a look at the insides. Well, it's very dusty, but it looks quite okay otherwise. I think we'll just blow that out with the air compressor as well. The wiring looks okay. The earth is nicely secured, that's good. Transformer looks fine. And it's got 4 large diodes in these big metal plates, which is the rectifier to give you DC. I didn't see if the ammeter was working. Let's do a quick check with that. And we'll plug it back in carefully with the cover off. And we'll power it up. That's on. And we'll just see if we get a few sparks here. We won't touch it for long. It'll just be enough to make the ammeter flicker. Oh, there we go, no worries. So the ammeter works fine. We're pumping out some voltage. Didn't blow the fuse. I think this is a good little charger. It'll be very handy for my electrolysis tank. And it's now the next evening, and we need to wrap up this video. Apologies to all the fans of my notepad. We don't even need to get one out tonight. All I've got is $80 I'm going to put on the trimmer. I have done the test and the tag. $5 for the random casters. I'm keeping the charger, and that's all we've got. So we're only adding $85 to the total. If I was to sell the charger, I'd probably go $30 or $40 on it. I would put a new plug on it, and I would test and tag it. But it's hard to find the good old solid decent chargers that can pump out a fair few amps these days. All the chargers you buy are smart ones, and they're no good for electrolysis. Speaking of electrolysis, I have some old brass taps here that came from the farm, and I thought I might do a video soon when I set up my electrolysis tank and do a bit of a comparison. I did a video ages ago on how electrolysis works, and I'll put a card up the top now. But that was a long time ago. I think my videos have improved a bit since then. So I thought we might do a bit of a comparison. Maybe buff some up on the wire wheel that gives you that nice yellow brass, it's almost new look. And I'll do a couple in the electrolysis tank and we'll see how they compare. So that's for a future video when I get myself organised there. But in the meantime, we've got a little bit more stuff to put in the shop. Oh, and of course we got a few tech screws for the workshop stock here. So that wraps up episode 33 of the Emergency Storage Shed Clean Out series. You will be watching this next week when I'll be at the farm. So as you're watching it now, I filmed this last week, you know what I mean. So I hope you've enjoyed it. There will be some farm episodes coming along. You might have already seen one, just depends what order I do. A quick wrap up on some things. Christine's shoulder's going very well. She's out of a sling. She does have to be careful still. There's no table tennis and no rock and roll dancing and no walking the dog for the rest of this year. But she's getting a lot of movement back, and each week she's saying, oh, I couldn't do that last week, like scratch her head or something. I've got pretty good at putting her hair in a bun, and if you've seen Christine's hair, it's long. So I've got a few other skills there. Dad's going okay. He's been moved into another care facility, which apparently is very good. So he's going okay. They've stabilised his meds. And yeah, I'm going to see him next week, obviously, and I'll let you know how things are going. So I think that's all I have to report on. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.